Hey, and welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Hour. I'm your host this week. I am Rob Lupo from Lupo Outdoors, and with me is Jason from the Rogue Banshees. Jason, how you doing this time?
This time or just in general?
This time.
Because it's different. Well, this time I don't know. It's okay, but I will tell you, I like you not having the green screen behind you.
Yeah,
It's so much better not having that green screen.
absolutely. So this week we are going to be talking about uh, cleaning your gun. There's an incorrect way to do it and a correct way to do it, and then fly by the seat of your pants way to do it. And the problem is, it really kind of depends on the firearm you're cleaning. We can talk about black powder cleanings, um, revolver cleanings, semi-automatic pistols, semi-automatic rifles, shotguns, and bolt actions, and they are not created equal, not even close. You know,
No, and
if
that's
you
one thing that's
don't
kind of
care,
funny. That,
it's not a problem. But if you're like a precision marksman, like if you're a competition shooter, regardless what it is, you got to be methodical, and you got to know when to clean it and when not to clean it. And we're going to actually talk about that. We're going to discuss the clean it after a couple hundred rounds. We're going to talk about cleaning it after every time you shoot. So Jason, why don't you start us off with like semi-automatic pistols?
so it's funny because semi-automatic pistols, it depends on the gun. Um, I remember back when I was a kid, we used to shoot the Smith and Wesson Model 41. And this is really, I was young, and of course, we didn't know, there wasn't the internet back then. We didn't know you could field strip this pistol. So I remember spending hours of going down the muzzle trying to clean the barrel. When I found out all you had to do is pull, later in life, I found out you just pull the trigger card down and the thing like comes apart and you could just clean the barrel normal. So really understanding how to field strip your gun, and it's not just even semi-automatic pistol. It's just about every gun. Understanding the whole field strip is important, and then really semi-automatic pistols kind of, for me, it's kind of the easiest gun to clean. Um, they're small. You don't have that much cleaning to do. Generally, you're not shooting that dirty of ammo. Um, and it just, you field strip it, you work on the barrel. The barrel's going to take you the most amount of time. Everything else is kind of just really kind of wiped down and oil up and then put back together. So that's why I say that the semi-automatic pistol's the easiest, just because the breakdown procedures are so great now, especially with
Right.
the modern pistols.
I mean, taking the slide off of a Glock is almost like nothing, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, and then like taking the slide off of Beretta is even easier. I mean,
Yeah.
the Glock, you got to get the hand in the back and then squeeze the slide just a little bit to pull the thing. The Berettas, you like push a button, throw a latch, and then the slide just comes right off.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, these guns are getting so damn easy to to field strip that it's not that big of a deal. And then plus they're small. If you get lazy, like I get sometimes, um, a whole pistol can fit in a small Lyman ultrasonic cleaner if you're really lazy.
So let me ask you this, being that you're more of a pistol guy than I am, um, what's your preferred cleaner for your pistols? And would you not use on your pistols? Just the cleaning,
So
uh, substance.
regardless of whether it's pistol or rifle, anything with ammonia in it is no good. Don't
Absolutely.
do it. Don't do it. You can screw a lot of stuff up with the ammonia in there. The biggest thing I'm using for cleaning right now, I bounce back and forth between stuff. I don't have the bottle out. stuff from Aegis Gun Cleaner, Aegis Gun Care. That's kind of my go-to. But when I'm working on like the barrels, this stuff from Real Avid is what I've been using lately. What I like about their bore solvent is that when you're running your patches through, if you get like blue on your patch, you still have copper fouling in the barrel. So I kind of like that because it kind of makes cleaning a little stupid. It also kind of makes you a little kind of it'll drive you nuts, right? I mean, it'll drive you nuts because all you're going to want is just keep on running patches until that thing cleans. Sooner or later, you're just going to say, "Hey, I'm done."
Two things are going to happen. One, eventually you'll get all the copper out, or two, you'll realize you've been using blue patches all along.
Yeah.
Like, it's not oh well, they're blue, aren't they? Damn it. So you're spot on with the ammonia, and I hear other people talk about, oh yeah, if it's really foul, just use a little bit of ammonia, and I'm like, you're out of your bloody mind.
Yeah.
Horrible for your things. Now, for me, I actually use AMSOIL's gun cleaning, and they're also their lubricant. I've been having really good luck with that. It works really good about getting the fouling out, and the lubricant aspects is just spectacular. Really, really, really good. So
and that's the thing about synthetic oils.
Yeah.
The oils that are out now I won't even say oil. The lubricants that are out now are way different than the hoppies, the REM oils and stuff like that. What we had that we basically grew up with. This stuff now is just absolutely amazing because now you're talking down to the nano and molecular level, and it's just like okay.
Oh yeah,
I mean, on that one.
The AMSOIL synthetic actually embeds itself into what's the word I'm looking for?
Molecular.
Yes, at the molecular level into the firearms. And what I find amazing is watching people clean their guns and then just soaking it in the oil and just dousing. I'm like, very little oil is needed to lubricate your guns, because what you end up doing, you put too much oil and there's too much extra there, and it starts gathering dust and other crap. CLP, hops, and Angus for me.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. It's funny because Rod from Aegis Gun Care has been on the podcast a couple times. I know Rod. He's a really good friend of the channel. We've talked. We got each other's cell phones. He's kind of bailed me out sometimes. The one thing that I love that Rod says about CLP, it's great because you have both, but it doesn't do either very well, right? I mean, yes, it'll clean and lubricate, but it's not all that great of a cleaner, and it's not all that great of a lubricant, because I asked him about that stuff, because it's like, okay, so I got a cleaner that's designed to dissolve my oil and gunk mixed in with my oil.
No.
So it's like, how does that work? And he's like, there's a way it works, but it really, in a pinch, it's great. I love CLP. I'll keep CLP with me when I'm at the range, just if I just need something, right? If I got to do something, got to do it quick, and it's not going to be a full cleaning. It's awesome. But yeah, the Aegis Gun Care, I absolutely love their oil or their lubricant. I like their cleaner. I don't think their cleaner is the best at getting fouling out of a barrel.
Yeah.
It's great. Everything else.
I still like Hops number 9 for my cleaner. That's been my go-to for like ever. But
Did you hear that they're changing the smell of it?
What?
Did you hear they're changing the smell of Hops number 9?
No.
Yeah, because like it's so funny. I remember years ago I put a picture out on Instagram with a Hops number 9, and I went, "Who can smell this?" It's like you see a bottle of hops number 9. Everyone that's used it knows what that smells like. But yeah, they're talking about changing the smell of it now.
So, Gravity Turtle, do you use the same cleaners on your pistols, revolvers, and rifles? Actually, for the most part, I do, unless we're talking black powder, and that's a totally different subject, which we'll get into shortly here. Like I was saying, I got turned on to Amsoil. I was at a gun show, and the guy gave me a sample of both their cleaner and their lube, and I was really impressed by how well it cleaned, and the fact that I can just put barely any of the lube on there, move the action a little bit, and it's just fantastic. So are they changing the smell, or are they getting?
They're changing the smell. Yeah, because that's what Krabby Turtle is asking. Is it a new smell or no smell? It's a new smell. They're changing the smell of it.
Daffodils again? No.
I don't know. And that's the one thing. That's a gun oil. Like this stuff I have here from Real Avid, this Gunk Blaster.
Yeah.
It almost smells like cologne to me. So the smell of these cleaning things, I guess everybody, I don't know, maybe the latchkey generation that we are, we killed so many brain cells smelling this stuff, cleaning guns, that now it's like, okay, now it smells nice. It's got to be better for you.
Hey, Eagle Run. Good to see you, man.
Eagle Run bubblegum flavor. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
So here's a question before we move on from semi-automatic pistols. You have your favorite cleaner and lube, so do I. How often do you clean your semi-automatics?
Well, before that, Krabby Turtle asked, and how do you pronounce? It is actually hoppies, not hops. I just said hops my entire life.
I always called it hops.
but it is actually pronounced hoppies if you talk to anybody that works for that company.
Yeah, I'll remember that when we go to SHOT Show and we talk to them. I'm like, hey, I really like hoppies.
They'll correct you. Sorry. So
I've called it hops my whole life.
How often do I clean my pistols? It depends on the gun. So if it's my everyday carry, those get cleaned and lubed a little more on a tighter schedule, right? But if it's like a gun that I'm going out and doing product testing on or something like, or doing a review, not very often. And that doesn't even matter for pistols or rifles. I mean,
what rifles about your competition gun?
Competition gun gets, well, so I haven't cleaned my competition gun in probably 3 years because it's been, my competition gun was cleaned the last time I shot it, and then it hasn't been cleaned since because it sat in the safe. But if I'm going to go shoot that in competition, it'll get cleaned, it'll get re-cleaned and oiled before a competition every time, regardless of how long it sat in the safe.
Gotcha. So with me, with my semi-automatic pistols, and I realized when I was filming the video for the Falco holster that I'm reviewing, I pulled out all my pistols. I'm like, I have a lot more semi-automatic pistols than I thought I did. I'm like, do I really have these many?
And I got this, and I got this, and I got
and I shoot them all, and I just don't realize how many I have. And I love them; they're awesome. So there's some people who are fanatical, and hey, if you're in the chat, let us know how often you clean your semi-automatic pistol. Please put it in the chat so we can kind of get an idea. But I don't clean mine after every shoot. What I'll often do is I'll wait until I have about 100 or 200 rounds through the pistol, and then I'll clean it. I had a really, really nice SIG competition gun, and I would do about 250 rounds through that, and then I would clean it. I would shoot maybe 20, 40 rounds to get some fouling in there. And it just seemed to perform better that way. And I do the same thing with my competition rifles. Do you clean safe guns after some time, even if they've not been used? Yeah, actually. And we'll talk about shotguns later because that's a different kettle of fish altogether. And I don't use the same cleaner for my shotguns as I do for my rifles. So if I have guns that have been sitting in the safe, every 6 months, I'll inspect them. And I might, run a lightly lubed rag, through the barrels, swab through them, and I'll check and see if I got any accumulation of dust or anything in there. But I won't do a thorough cleaning because I've often done a thorough cleaning before I put them in the safe. Say around 200 rounds cleaning.
So Ricardo, the one thing about that with the 200 rounds, I used to compete with a Glock, my Glock 17, and I've been competing for years with that thing, and I showed up to a GSSF match because GSSF matches they're fun. They're not a lot of pressure. They're just really more fun. It's more like I'm a Glock owner club kind of competition. But I was having problems. I remember this was in Fort Dix, New Jersey, at this competition. And this Glock 17 that I've been running for years, I started having problems with it. And I went to the armor. So at a GSSF match, there's Glock armors at these shoots. So if you have a problem with your gun, you can go to the armor and you actually have a factory armor, not a dealer armory. This is actually from Georgia, one of the factory armors. So I'm like, okay, I took it up and he's playing with the gun and he's explaining what he's doing. And then, and he looks at me, he goes, okay, well, your recoil spring, it's starting to get a little weak. So, and he just replaced it. And that was the nice thing about GSSF is they just fixed the gun right there and it would be no charge. But then he looks at me, he goes, how often do you clean this gun? And I'm like, oh man, like every time I shoot it, and I'm pretty anal about it. He goes, yeah, you're cleaning your gun too much. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm cleaning my gun too much? He goes, man, you don't want to clean this thing before 200 rounds. And I'm like, okay. He goes, probably even maybe 500 rounds. And I'm like, I can't do that, man. Because like I would take it out and I might shoot a box just, because I was shooting several guns and I would clean it. And he's like, I just can't do it. And he goes, I am the master armorer for Glock USA. And I'm telling you, you're abusing your gun by cleaning it too much. I'm like, okay. He goes, do you have your cleaning kit here? I go, yeah, it's out in my car. He goes, go get it. And I'm going to show you how to clean your gun with the stuff you've got. But yeah, there's something about that 200 round minimum before you start cleaning the pistol. And he says, of course, if you're going to shoot this, like if you're going to shoot a box that's going to sit in the in the safe for like 6 months, yeah, clean it. But yeah, if you're going to be shooting this like multiple weekends, these things run dirty.
Yeah, Glocks are amazing, for running, just without failing. They're awesome. So let's move on to, let's briefly talk about revolvers. I kind of treat my revolvers the same way I treat my semi-automatics, except for obviously I pull out the cylinder, but you can't remove the barrel like you can with a semi-automatic. So I pull out my cylinders. I clean the cylinders very similar to the way I clean my barrels, but a little bit more gentle. What about you?
So here's the thing: is I only have one revolver, and I did a deep cleaning video on that, and that was the first time that revolver had been cleaned in years. So I don't know. I really don't have. I can't talk about revolvers because I couldn't tell you the time I cleaned it before that.
Yeah.
And the thing with that thing is it was it's a 357, and it's stainless. So the biggest thing with that is the carbon buildup on the front of the cylinder And basically, I showed I showed how I get the carbon off of that. But really, other than that, I can't really talk much about cleaning them. And I do want to give a shout out to my buddy there, Angry Sarge. He's also one of the Freedom Crew University guys there. I'm glad he could make it. And I don't know, man. There's like not a week that I don't even have a text or some type of message between me and him. He's a cool dude. And, he was on my podcast back in January. I think he was the first podcast this year. He's got a great story, so go check that out.
Oh yeah,
he has it, and Angry Sarge, man, thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
Anyways,
Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day.
Yeah, happy Veterans Day. So, anyways, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I just can't talk that much about revolvers. I can talk about other people's revolvers I've seen and I've had to clean, but mine,
I have lots of revolvers.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
I really enjoy at a time I really enjoyed cowboy shooting, and so several of my revolvers are in Colt 45 long, and I just absolutely love that round. And then I have a Taurus Judge, which is the 410, and then it does Colt 45 long, and that's my wilderness carry weapon. But and then I have a whole slew of 22 revolvers, and oh my God, they're so much fun. I can just shoot all day long, and it doesn't cost me anything. It's just tremendous fun. But it with revolvers, I actually clean those after every time I take them to the range. I don't wait on those. They just seem to do better because they can gunk up better, or they can gunk up more. So the cylinder has a tendency of kind of getting slack. It's just more for it to kind of jam up on. So we've talked a little bit about revolvers, and we've talked a little bit about automatic pistols. I'm going to briefly talk about black powder, and that's where it becomes.
I'm glad you're going to talk about it, because black powder scares the ever living crap out of me. You will not catch me anywhere near a black powder gun.
I love black powder weapons. I have a black powder rifle, and I actually have a flintlock pistol that's actually fireable. I can actually shoot that. So here's the thing with black powder. Even when you're using Pyrex, which is far less corrosive, they say non-corrosive, but yeah, it's a little corrosive. So when
I like it, far less corrosive.
Yeah, when you're shooting black powder, it's a whole different thing, because when I was doing Civil War reenactments, I had a Colt Walker, a Colt Dragoon, and a Navy and an Army, all black powder. And after that, after the weekend, I go home and wait. The way you have to clean black powder is like, oh, you just don't want swabs through it. No, you disassemble it. You do your normal process you would for any other type of, like a revolver or a semi-automatic, where the wire brush down the center, of the bore, swabs, try to get the fouling out and really thoroughly clean it. And then you do the same thing with the cylinder, that you disassemble everything. You take the like the wood hand grips off, and you disassemble it, and then you wash it in soap and water, super hot water that you can barely stand, in the sink, and you scrub the living crap out of it. Clean it everywhere. Soap and water, right? You put it in the oven to dry it out. Now, before you put it in the oven, you try to dry it off as much as you can, and I'll put a light coating of oil inside and outside the barrels and over the parts, and you put it in the oven, and you bake it dry, but it also embeds the oil directly into the metal. And it's a process. It's an absolute process with black.
All right. So I had a feeling that Lupo was going to drop, man, because I was getting about like every third word out of him. He needs to move a little closer to his Wi-Fi because what's really funny is he's got fiber. I'm going off a satellite link, and I got a better link than he does. But yeah, it's funny. He's talked about going in and cleaning these guns before, and like I said before, oh, he's back.
Yeah, that was weird. I got kicked out. I'm
got,
like, what the hell was that?
You were on a roll, and we were getting like every third word out of you.
Oh no. So in a nutshell, when it comes to black powder, it's a thorough process. And if you don't follow that process, the damn things rust like crazy and they get pitty and it's just a pain in the ass. But so that's all I'm going to talk about with black powder. If you want to get into black powder, better be dedicated.
That's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that. So once you talk to me about semi-automatic rifles, like AR-15s, AR-10s and so forth, you're building one right now, aren't you building?
Well, yes and no. Yes, I am building one. No, I'm not building one. I've got a product that I'm testing that I'm running way behind on testing because the snow we got here isn't. But that's mostly an upper that I'm building. But yeah, AR-15s. I love it. I love to hate cleaning AR-15s. Right? They're so damn dirty if you're not running a piston, and that's kind of the thing is you got the gas coming back to run the bolt carrier. It gets dirty in there. I can't pick it up, but that rifle right there, that AR-10 there, I was doing a lot of testing on, and this year that gun's got probably more rounds downrange than it has since I built it. And I've had that for a while, but that I ran that thing till it didn't run anymore, and I was running was it Bernal, this Russian stuff that I've had forever, dirty as crap. And then I finally ran that thing to the point that it just started to fail, and then I kind of cleaned it, and then I had to really clean it. But yeah, ARs are a little different because you've got to get that upper cleaned, and you're putting your rod down, the back of it. But of course, you have, was it 6 or 8 inches before you actually hit the chamber of the barrel, and then it's all enclosed, so you can't see anything. You're trying to like balance a patch to try to get it through the upper receiver. So they're kind of a pain in the ass to clean.
Do you use bore guides?
Yeah, bore guides. I don't even know where my bore guide went. I just got a brand new bore guide, and I don't know where it is.
You showed it to me. It was awesome looking. So,
well, the thing is, I was just talking about it yesterday on the podcast when I recorded, and I have no idea where I put it now. But yeah, bore guides are your best friend with that. Because
and then I use coated rods also to help not screw up the inside. So
yeah,
Teflon coated long rods and a bore guide for anything that's rifle related, whether it's a semi-automatic or bolt. We'll get into more of that when we talk about bolt rifles because it's a totally different story. That's your new one, isn't it?
That's my new one. It was over on my other device here. And what I love about these bore guides is when you got the solvent port here for them. So you start getting your rod in, and you can put your solvent in here so it's not dripping down. You don't have that problem with the patch falling off. But bore guides are great for AR. I mean, they're great for all rifles, but at least all rifles you can get to the rear of. It won't work for like lever actions. But these things are amazing. I absolutely love these. I always thought bore guides were like the dumbest thing in the world until I got my first one, and now it's just like I can't clean a rifle without a bore guide. But yeah, these things are super handy because not only are you not like dripping all this stuff in and it aligns your patch and all that stuff up, but it also keeps you from banging your rod down, into your chamber. and screwing your chamber up.
Exactly.
So these things do a lot. These things do a lot of things for you.
So for cleaning rods, what do you like and what do you dislike?
So what I like, so I got, I'll pull this one up. This is one of my pistol ones. I love these ones from Real Avid, actually. These are carbon fiber, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you got a metal tip on it." Well, first of all, you're gonna have to have a metal tip anyway. But these metal tips are aluminum that are coated, they're plated with nickel. So anything that we were talking about, the chemicals I use that go blue, if they're not plated, you get a false positive on the color.
From the brass.
So there's way. Well, yeah. So this one, I love these things because number one, I know I'm not going to screw up my gun, my barrel with it. Number two, I'm not going to screw it up because of the carbon fiber. Plus three, the carbon fiber makes it pretty light and strong. I'm really good. I'm looking at a bunch of old cleaning rods on the pegboard there, and every single one of them's bent because you just end up bent. You put a little bit of force on them, and but yeah, I love carbon fiber, and definitely make sure that your tip is not steel. Make sure you're using aluminum.
Yep, aluminum or brass.
Or brass. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've seen people. So I was at the range a long time ago, and the guy was sitting there and goes, "Oh, I'm not hitting like I should be hitting here. I'm gonna do like a simple swipe and try to get some fouling out of there." And he opens up his bag and he pulls out a straightened coat hanger with a small hook on the end, like looped over, and he puts a patch through that, and he just starts through the. And I'm looking at him, and everyone else is just staring at him, and I'm like, he goes, "Why spend money if you don't need to?" And I'm like,
that's the one place you want to spend money at.
The target very well, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know what's up. I'll get a rifle and it'll shoot great for a while, and then I'll just get these things going everywhere." And I'm like, "Yep, I think we've worked it out."
Let me be your gunsmith and just pay me money now.
Yeah. Well, this is why I got this. It has a brass tip, right? Mm-hmm. And then this rod is Teflon coated. It's flexible, but it's really nice. And then it's got a revolving part here, so as it comes through, it automatically spins. But you can get these in different sizes, And
the thing about these, you want to get one that spins pretty easy. Like this one's on ball bearings.
Yeah. Same with this.
Because you actually want that thing as tight as some of these patches get into the barrels. You want this thing to be able to spin to go, easily to go down that barrel.
Exactly. So, I'm going to talk. Let's talk a little bit about shotguns. So, as people who watch this channel often know that I was a competition shotgun shooter for a long time. So a lot of competition shotgunners use brake cleaner down the barrel.
Yep.
And people are like, but, so brake cleaner or shotgun spray, you take off your barrel, spray it down, let it kind of drain out as much as possible. And then, running like a bore snake through it or something just to kind of polish out the center of the barrel. And that's kind of really all you really need to do. When bore snakes came out, man, that was like the best thing in the world. So what these guys would do is they would drop, the line down, and at the very front of the bore snake before of the bronze wires, they would spray that with brake cleaner or shotgun spray. And then at the very back, where it's slightly thick, they would put their lubricating oil on there, and you just run it through, and no problems, absolutely no problems.
Well, and
Now
that's
the
the
action's a different story because you got to go in there and actually, I mean, we use Q-tips a lot, and you want to clean
sure.
out the gunk and so forth. And I had this. It was kind of like almost at the texture of like Vaseline with little teeny brass ball bearings in it, tiny, tiny ones. And I would put that where the action moved. And you would just put a light coating on that, and then you move the action, a couple times, and you would break the shotgun open and close a few times. And holy crap, that was just, I just boom, eject shells, off you go. And it's, yeah, shotgun cleaning is, I mean, the way I clean shotguns, I would never, ever clean my bolt action rifle that way.
Well,
It's its own beast. People are like brake cleaner, and I'm like, it looks
well,
weird.
and that's the funny thing about brake cleaner. So when you get into gunsmithing, you learn that non-chlorinated brake cleaner is your friend. Like I've seen guns that have come in, they're like, it's not working, and that's the thing about guns. Like if you have a gun that's acting up, 9 times out of 10, it's a cleaning problem, right? I mean, there are mechanical problems when you're dealing with older guns and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm going to look somewhere else, but even then, I'm still going to look at cleaning before I do anything. And you learn about brake cleaner because you can get the gun scrubbers and all that type of stuff, or you can just go to like one of the auto stores and get brake cleaner for like a quarter of the price,
Oh
and it's
yeah,
basically the same stuff. And you
and
just
it
go
works
outside and you just
wonders.
spray the crap out of a gun, and then when that stuff evaporates, then do a regular cleaning and then oiling, and that actually fixes a lot of stuff. Now, the one thing I was thinking about for you with the shotgun cleaning, so we think about copper fouling and lead fouling in guns, but in shotguns you have a little bit of lead fouling, a possibility of some lead fouling,
Very
but you also have
minor, if at
plastic,
all.
plastic fouling too.
Yes, we do. And that's why the bore snake has that little wire brush halfway through, because remember, most of the pellets aren't touching the inside of that bore.
Yeah,
It's covered. Now, if you're shooting slugs, different story altogether. But when that shotgun shells come out, it opens up, and that's where the pellets spread out. So it's not really touching the inside of things. The one part of the shotgun everyone ignores or completely forgets about is the choke. You got to take your
yeah.
chokes out. You got to clean those threads. You got to clean the choke. People just run it through with the choke on there. I said, there's fouling where the threads are, where it's attaching. So I always tell people if you're going to clean your shotgun. Now, my shotgun, when I was competing, um, I mean, I could shoot 300, sometimes 400 rounds in a day, and I would kind of run a bore snake through each round just to kind of keep it running, and then thoroughly clean the shotgun that evening. So if it was a 2 day event, I would clean it in the evening in my hotel room, and then the next day come out fresh. But if I was doing like sporting clays, um, every 5 holes I might run my bore snake through it. Or if it wasn't too bad, if the weather was great, if it's wet weather, definitely run my bore snake through it. And then at the end of the day, I would do a proper cleaning on it because unlike rifles, shotguns don't want fouling at all.
Yeah,
it, it
yeah.
it screws things up. Let's talk bolt action, and let's talk hunting compared to competition.
Well, and if you think about it, you can still talk about shotguns in hunting the same way as
Yes.
bolt action in hunting. For me, I grew up on the East Coast, a lot of bird hunting. When I lived in Maryland, it's always wet when it's duck season and stuff like that. So cleaning schedules are a little different. They're almost like it's almost like competition shooting at that point. Um, you're taking a gun out into dirty, wet environments. Because I mean, if you're out in the middle, if you're working a field, if you're out there bird hunting, you're out working a field, you're not going to stop just because a little bit of rain. You're gonna, meanwhile your car is a few hundred yards away. But the same thing with like deer hunting and stuff. You're out there. You're not going to get up because you're gonna disturb the game that you might be able to bag. So I would do the same thing as competition shooting. It's you clean it before, make sure everything's working, do your final checks, and then clean it after when you get back. Even if you didn't fire it, even if you just took your gun for a walk, I would clean it because you're talking about being out in the outdoors.
So much dust,
dirt, foliage. There's just so many things. It's a lot different than being at a gun range.
This is true. I mean, so for competition bolt action shooting, a lot of guys say, they don't clean their rifle until they've had 200 to 400 rounds through it. They want that fouling in there for accuracy reasons. And around 400 rounds, they'll start going, all right, I'm going to do a thorough cleaning. And then they'll purposely go out and shoot another 50 rounds through it to get some fouling in there for their, to get back their accuracy. And this is after a proper barrel break-in. Although most new barrels don't really need to be broken in anymore. The newer weapons don't. The older ones, they did. But see, that's where it differentiates, because if you're out hunting with a bolt action rifle, you have rainy weather, snowy weather, mud, dust. The barrels are going across trees, which are dropping pollen all over the place. So talking to several hunters, and if you're currently watching this live, tell us if you agree or disagree. If you're a hunter here, most of the hunters I've talked to said they clean their weapon, right after the hunt, every single time. If they're out for a couple of days, they'll do not a breakdown full cleaning, but they'll do a base cleaning every evening. Either ready for get ready for dinner.
Just maintaining at that point.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Because if you think about it, you're probably at hunting camp. Yeah, you're probably at hunting camp at a fire. You got an open fire as you're cleaning your gun.
Exactly. But for competition, like when I go out and I'm working my competition, I have a really, really nice competition rifle that I call Big Red. And a Big Red is a 6.5 Creedmoor. The barrel's that freaking thick. The barrels weigh a ton. I have 2 barrels with it, both threaded, and that rifle weighs a ton. It's a bench rest rifle, absolutely 100%. What's neat about it is when I'm in there, the bolt's on the right-hand side. When I eject, the cartridge comes out the left. So instead of having to reach over, grab my shell, I can bring my hand up, maintain the target, put it into my hand, put it in the next round, and set it down. Love it. From what I have learned.
So Warsaw Patriots out there, man. Warsaw, man. It has been a while since I've seen you out there, man. It's great seeing you that you're still there. I agree with you. Aegis is some really good stuff. The funny thing that I've seen with Aegis is I've cleaned. This is when I first started working with that stuff. I've cleaned a gun with everything else, and then I went to go oil it. Oil the barrel up with the Aegis stuff, and then the patch came through dirty, and I'm like, oh crap! I was getting clean patches going through, and then I just went through with the not the solvent, the lube, and then it came out dirty. I'm like, oh, the Aegis got some really good stuff. I really do like Rod's stuff there. He's got a great product.
I'll have to check that out myself. So whether you're hunting or doing competition shooting or just having fun with the bolt action, um, ta-da!
As you drop everything,
you want one of these because you don't want that solvent getting into the trigger mechanisms, and make sure you have a proper bore cleaning rod that's protecting the inside of your barrel. It So let me give you a horror story here. I'm a member of a specific gun club. I like the people a lot. I've made friends with many of the people that work there, including the managers. And when you're at
you're talking about gun club cleanings, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
so, like many other gun clubs, when you're at a specific level, they offer free gun cleanings. Now, I have seen specific gun clubs. There's a specific gun club, which is way too far away from me. But I went there one time, and they let you watch the guy behind glass cleaning the gun. And this guy absolutely knew what he was doing, without question. This guy was meticulous and just did a thorough cleaning, and I was impressed. And then my specific gun club, I sat there and I was watching them clean people's rifles. And so, like, the guy opens up the bolt action, pulls the bolt out, and he just starts running a cleaning rod and starts moving it back and forth between the rod, right over the over the trigger mechanisms, running it through back and forth. So when you're cleaning a bolt action gun specifically, even specifically for competition, with the board guide here, which keeps the solvents off of the internal actions, the trigger mechanisms and so forth, you run it through to the end and you remove the wad at the end, pull it slowly out, put another, wad on there, or, patch, and you run it through, take it off, gently pull it through, and that's what you do. You don't run it back. You run it through one way or at all. What a lot of guys do when they're at home is they'll take like a Powerade bottle and they'll put it at the end. So when they push the patch through, it doesn't drip everywhere. It goes into the bottle, which I thought was actually really clever. You have one that honestly does that.
I've got an attachment for my rifle that you just take a water bottle, screw it on, and then your patches just stay in there, which is nice because then you just cap it and then you don't have the whole smell of the solvent.
Yeah. So when I'm watching these guys clean things, like there's like this guy hands over his expensive rifles, beautiful bolt action rifle, and we're sitting there and I'm watching, and they put someone who's never cleaned a gun before, and he's asking, so what do I do next? And I'm like, the guy is right there watching, and he's like jamming, he's like, he takes the bore thing and goes, sorry, just run it through like this. I'm just jamming it through, right? And no bore guide, no nothing. And this guy's eyes are getting wider and wider. And he goes, you know what? Just stop. I'll do it at home. It's just, no, and he goes, no, stop. He goes,
you're destroying my rifle.
You're effing up my gun. You have no idea what you're doing. And the guy goes, well, no, I'm an experienced cleaner. I'm just helping him. He goes, you're not an experienced cleaner. You're not using a bore guide. You're having him go back and forth. You're screwing up my gun. Stop it. So before you give your rifle to someone to clean, make sure that they have a clue, that they know how to clean a rifle, especially a bolt action rifle.
I mean, there's a difference between being, an experienced gun cleaner and cleaning a lot of guns.
So
there's a lot of difference.
It's interesting because every once in a while they'll put their own rental guns up for sale, and they're super cheap.
They're destroyed.
Oh, I know. But here's the kick. They're super, super cheap. I mean, below market value. And yet they sit there and sit there and sit there, and nobody buys them because A, we know how they cleaned them. B, they've had thousands of rounds go through these. And I'm like, No, there's no way. Absolutely no way.
Well, it's like you're going to rebarrel a rifle. I mean,
Yep.
you get a pistol, you're just going to grab that barrel and just toss it and get another barrel. But yeah, the rental guns, God, they're just they get abused. There's a reason why they're rental guns, and there's a reason why people rent them is because they're going to have a lot of fun with them and they don't want to deal with them later. And then if you get a lot of rentals at a range, you're not going to take your most experienced guy that you're paying the most amount of money to clean them. You're going to take the kid from high school that's like mopping the floors, and he's going to clean those guns.
Oh, Sanchez he has a good point here.
Yeah, I had that up earlier. Clean barrels are overrated.
Well, and that's what I was saying before. A lot of people want that fouling in there for their accuracy. It just, they just shoot better with the fouling, which is why they don't clean after every, shooting. They go out there and they'll put 200 to 400 rounds through it before they'll clean it.
Yeah.
So
and that's the funny thing about that is, we're trained about, we got to get all the fouling out of a barrel. Depends on what your purpose is, right? Some fouling in some sports is good. No matter what the sport is, excessive fouling is bad.
Yep, it could be the difference between success and failure. CLR, I've never heard that used. That's interesting.
See, I have. So it's really good it is good for cleaning out fouling. But CLR is the cleaner that you usually get the hard water stains off of things. Clean coffee pots out when they get kind of really nasty and got the calcium in it. And I've seen that. And man, I don't know if I can do. I don't know if I can use CLR on a barrel.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe, but yeah.
I might use CLR on this barrel because it's destroyed already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be a really good test to see how well it cleans it, But so be it. We haven't seen in the chat.
New video.
Hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, Vanessa Kitty is MIA.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Well, she's been busy lately.
So
she's probably out hunting.
Yeah, she might be out hunting right now. I have a whole new series on my YouTube Shorts about hunting tips, and seems to be getting good traction. These are like validated, really good hunting tips. Scour, talking to all my hunting friends. Who's also hasn't showed up is Mike hasn't showed up today. Mike recently just bagged a deer out there in Oregon, and I think he used a 6.5 Creedmoor. So that was really cool. Yeah. So what else would you? What other things would you not do to clean the gun?
I think one of the important things we need to talk about is we kind of hinted a little. We didn't hint at it. We just didn't talk about it. Jags and brushes.
Yes.
So, like this jag, just like my rod, my cleaning rod, where that's that's an aluminum tip with a nickel plating. My jag is the same thing. So it's aluminum with a nickel plating on it. So that way my jag is not going to screw up my bore. Now, my brushes are, I believe these are bronze, the nickel plated bronze. So I do have some stainless steel brushes, but those are only used for really, really, really nasty guns that you're at the point where you're salvaging the barrel, right? You're just trying to salvage that barrel. So don't use hard metals. So that's really my thing is be careful. We get so worried about our rods. Be careful about the other attachments that we're sending down those barrels.
So, I mean, with jigs, I usually wrap, those are wrapped with your patches anyhow. Now, and that gives you a level of protection, and then it has the cleaner or the oil on it. And which is why I say you on bolt actions, you push it through and remove it at the end here. Safer plumbing, why not?
Yeah, it's talking about the CLR. If it's safer plumbing, why not? Yeah. The other thing I saw one time, the reason why I grabbed this, I've seen people take a cleaning rod, put it in a drill, put their brush
on it,
and just go to town. And it's like, yeah, that's just all kinds of wrong.
Well, see you, Sanchez.
See you, bud. But yeah, that's just all kinds of wrong right there.
I've literally seen that myself, and I just stare with disbelief, going, it's like I was part of a club, and you see the guys how they clean their weapons, and then they'll sell them. And it's like, hey, I'm selling this, I'm gonna get something else, and people are like, who buys their guns? The new people who haven't seen them use their guns, you know.
But yeah, it's there's some things to think of. Cleaning is not just I'm going to run a patch through a barrel. I'm going to run a brush through a barrel. You got to think about the jag you use, the brush you use. Like these jags, these ones are from Real Avid, and Real Avid has really long, thin patches, so that way they don't bunch up. They kind of wrap around the jag. So that way you fill the barrel. And I have on the podcast coming out on Sunday, I have Dustin Sanchez from Real Avid, and he actually talks about how they actually size their jags, and about how those things wrap around. It's funny, you learn when you start talking to these people.
Wood, you stole my joke I was about to tell.
What's that?
I was just about to say exactly what Woods just said.
No, Woods, we wouldn't kick you. Trust me, when we were talking about Mike not showing up to the podcast, if Mike was here, trust me, that would have been your comment would have been G-rated compared to
me. I love Mike. Mike's a great guy.
That's what happens when you get an Army Ranger in chat.
If you guys, if you're not familiar with my channel, please check me out at Lupo Outdoors and please subscribe. But I had this quest to 1,000 yards, and I flew out to Oregon. And Mike's actually an instructor, a long-range shooting instructor. So he started me off at 100 yards, which is the furthest I ever shot in my life. Remember, I'm a competition shotgun shooter, so I was getting into long-range rifles, and I bought his 6.5 PRC rifle, and he was teaching me how to go long range on that. So in 2 days, I went from 100 yards to 350 yards, and then I went on the second day 350 yards to 1,219 yards. I never missed a target. He taught me how to read the wind. He taught me how to do all that. So if you want to check out that journey, it's on my channel.
What Lupo's not telling you is that he was shooting at a 4x8 sheet of plywood at 1,200 yards.
No,
no, you were actually shooting at just like an IPSC style steel target at 1,200 yards, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I nailed it on my first shot, and then my second shot was right next to it, and I was like, "This is badass." We're leaving on that note there, but
that's when Lupo just did the mic drop because I'm out of here and just walked off.
Well, anyone can do it, but it requires the understanding and reading the wind and having a good instructor. And Mike was fantastic. And if you come to SHOT Show, you'll meet Mike. He's going to be with us at SHOT.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So tell us what you're up to. We got about a minute left.
We got podcast on Saturday or Sunday. I got Saturday on the brain for some reason. Podcast Sunday noon Mountain Time. That's with Dustin from Real Avid. We're going to talk about some of the new tools they came out with this year. He's going to talk to us a little bit about how they came up with some of the tools, which was kind of cool. I didn't expect him to talk about one story about how they came up with one of the tools. So it's really cool. There's a lot of things. We talk about cleaning in there, and we talk about both of us, our lack of cleaning of our guns. So definitely go check it out. And then my channel members are watching some exclusive content right now. And then video next Friday. We're gonna drop a new video on next Friday.
This Sunday, I have my review of a brand new holster from Falco Holsters. And this holster is actually designed for your bicycle. And it attaches to your bicycle, and it's for a concealed carry. And so far, I really, really like it. But there was something I found on that holster, and you would have to watch the review to check out that I was like, it's not something they need to fix. It's a bit of instruction that they need to actually put into with the holster. But the holster is rock solid. And I tried every one of my semi-automatic pistols, my small ones to my large ones, up to a Glock 17, and they all fit perfectly in there. And it's just great. And so you might ask, why would you want a concealed carry holster attached to your bike? If you're out biking, why don't you just carry it yourself? The reason why is if you're traveling at speed on a bike and you wreck and you fall on your firearm, you're going to really, really injure yourself. So they were out bike riding one day, and they thought about this and said, it's actually dangerous to conceal carry while you're bike riding in case you fall. And oh my God, it's astounding how quickly you can open this. But it also has pouches for other things like ID. You can put, trail mix in there. I mean, it's a beautiful setup. But check out the review on Sunday. Got anything else coming up?
Nothing I can talk about.
All right. Hey, we'd like to sincerely thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you learned something out of this. Thanks for everybody who contributed and I was in the chat with us. We absolutely love you and always appreciate you. I'm Rob Lupo from Lupo Outdoors.
I am Jason Schaller from the Rogue Banshee.
And we will see you next week, Friday, and it's your turn to pick. What are we going to talk about?
No, I just had that panic hit me like 10 seconds ago going, crap, I didn't choose a
topic. Wait, you chose this.
No, it's your turn. It's your turn.
Damn it.
I chose this one. It's your turn.
I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll release it on Wednesday. Stay tuned.
As usual, Lupo's a slack ass.
I know. I'm awful. All right. Thank you guys so much. Take care. We'll see you guys. Soon.